Hey guys, here's your Math 3 Fall Final Practice Test answers, or help video. So this is the practice test number 1, you guys. So I did go over this in class, but just thought to create a video so that you guys just get more practice or just hear the explanation again. Number 1. So this, you guys, is factoring a equals to 1. So this is factoring a equals 1k. So what you guys do is your x method. So a times c and b. So a times c, you guys, is negative 8. Your b value is negative 2. So what two things multiply in negative 8, but when you guys add it, gives you guys negative 2. That is negative 4 and 2. And because a is equals to 1, we just use these two side numbers as our factors. So our answer would have been D. Number 2. Okay, so first, what you guys should do first is factor out 4 from each one. So divide each term by 4, and you guys will get this. Now if you guys factor by 4, this does become an a equals 1 case. So negative 8 and 7. The two numbers that multiply the top, and when added, give you guys the bottom. That is 8 and negative 1. And because a is equals to 1, you guys just use the two side numbers. So we're going to get 4 times m plus 8 times m minus 1, which is going to be C. That one would be C. Okay, number 3. You cannot factor something out from 3, 13, and 4, so you guys have to factor this using your guys' a is greater than 1 method. So you still do the x method, a times c up top, b on the bottom. 3 times 4 is 12, and then 13 is on the bottom. So two numbers that multiply 12, but when I give you guys 13, that's 12 and 1. So we are going to get, so when you guys, since it's a is greater than 1, you guys got to write the first term, the combination of the two middle terms, and your guys' last term. So what does this look like? Well, 3x squared plus 12x plus x, which comes from here. See, 12x plus x adds up to 13x plus 4. And then you guys factor this by grouping. Factor out a 3x to get x plus 4. Factor out, can't factor out anything from here, so the only thing you could do is plus 1. Okay, so you guys get 3x plus 1 times x plus 4, which is going to be B. Okay, number 4. Now, from each term, you guys, you can factor out a 3. So divide each one by 3. 15 divided by 3, 5x squared. 42 divided by 3, 14x. Negative 9 divided by 3, negative 3. So this is still an a is greater than 1 case, you guys. So you guys still got to do your a times c all over b. 4 times negative 3 is negative 15, and b value is 14. The two numbers that multiply to negative 15, but when added together gives you guys 14. That's 15 and negative 1. But because it's a is greater than 1, you guys, we got to do this by grouping. So we have to use those two numbers as our middle terms, minus 3. And then we factor. So you guys, we factor out 5x to get x plus 3, and we factor out a negative 1 to get x plus 3. So drop down to 3. So you get 3, 5x minus 1 times x plus 3. Okay, which is B. Okay, number 5. So this is a difference of squares factoring. So when we have two terms, you guys, and there's a subtraction sign, and it's squared, so we can take the square root of both and factor it by a plus b times a minus b. So both of these, we can take the square root. So we're going to get, what times itself is 4n squared? That's 2n times 2n. What times itself is 25? 5 times 5. Plus and minus. Okay? So that is where we guys get C. We get C right there. Number 6. Now, These are, now we can't take the square root, but what we could do is we can factor out a 2 from both. So 50 divided by 2, 25b squared. Negative 8 divided by 2, negative 4. And then we can take the square roots of both of these, and you guys would get 5b times itself and 2 times itself plus and minus factoring, which is going to be d. Okay. Number 7. Okay, so this is where these are cube rootable, meaning something times itself 3 times is those numbers. So this is sum and difference of cubes, and this is where you guys have to use SOAP, right? Same sign, opposite, always positive. Same sign, opposite, always positive. So what times itself 3 times is this? That would be 4a. 4a times 4a times 4a, 64a to the third. What times itself 3 times is 125? That would be 5. So we are going to be using this formula, you guys. So it says a plus b first, which is 4a plus 5. And then a squared minus ab plus b squared. So a squared, 4a times itself, 16a squared. Minus a times b, well, 4a times 5, you guys, that's minus 20a. And then b squared, 5 squared, you guys, is 25. So that would be D. 8. So this one, 4 terms, you guys. So one method you guys could do is factor this by grouping. What can we factor out from here? A 5 and x to the second. So we get 4x plus 7. And what can we factor out from here? A negative 2. So you get 4x plus 7. So you get 5x squared minus 2 times 4x plus 7, which is C. Okay, so that's your guys' factoring unit. Now we have here, so to simplify square roots, you guys, you make your prime factorization tree. So what factors is 112? So we could do 2 times 56. Factors of 56 is 7 times 8. Factors of 8, 2 times 4. Factors of 4, 2 times 2. 1 pairs of 2s, 2 pairs of 2s, and a leftover of a 7. So we have 2, which represents the first pair of 2s, the next 2, which represents the other pairs of 2s, and a square root of a 7. 4 square root 7 would be your guys' final answer. Okay, same thing here, but since it's a negative square root, you guys, you have to turn that into 128i. So we're going to get 2 times 64. 64, you guys, could be 2 times 32. 32 could be 2 times 16. 16 could be 4 times 4. 2 times 2. So you guys could do it however you guys want. Everyone will still have the same prime numbers at the very end. Now find your pairs. 1 pairs of 2s, 2 pairs of 2s, 3 pairs of 2s, a leftover of a 2. So first pair of 2s, second pairs of 2s, third pairs of 2s, and the leftover 2, and don't forget the I. 2 times 2 times 2, 8 square root 2 I, which is A. Okay, now we have graphing. So for 11, you guys, that's in standard form, and we gotta find our vertex and y-intercepts and knowing if it opens up and down. So finding your vertex is this formula right here, you guys. So we have x equals RB, so negative, our b value is negative 8, all over 2 times our a value, guys, which is 1. I should actually write this down so that you guys can clearly see our values. So we get 8 over 2, which is 4. Now to find your guys' y value of your vertex, plug in 4 into the y function. Everywhere we see a x, it becomes a 4, and we can solve this to get our y value, which is going to be negative 1. So our vertex is going to be 4, negative 1. And because a, you guys, since a is 1, that's bigger than 0, right? That's positive. We know this graph is going to open up. This also tells you guys your guys' y-intercept. So let's find one of these. Can't be this one. Vertex is negative 4, 1, negative 1, but we have positive 4, negative 1. B looks to be B. That's our vertex. This opens down. That's not even at 4, -1. So the answer is B. 12. So this is vertex form, you guys. Now notice the h value, guys, for vertex form. It's the opposite, right? X minus h, and then as a vertex, it's going to be positive 8. And the k's are the same. So since this says positive 3, you guys, we know the vertex, the h value is going to be -3. And then since this is the same value, it will be -3, 2. Now, since this is negative, you guys, negative, so that means it opens down. So -3, 2 looks to be the first one because it opens down and it has a vertex right there at -3, 2. This one opens up, so it can't be that one. That one opens up because it can't be that one. This one opens down, but that's at +3, 2 when we know our vertex should be -3, 2. That one's is A. Okay, here, so we have factored form. So the nice thing about factored form, you guys, it tells you guys your x-intercepts. So our x-intercepts is what values of x will make both of these 0. X equals -6 and x equals -2. So we know our x-intercepts are at -6, 0 and -2, 0. And we know our a value is greater than 0, which makes it positive, so it opens up. So this one doesn't even cross the x-axis. This one doesn't even cross the x-axis. This one opens up, and look, you guys, the two x-intercepts are at -6 and -2. And D opens down, which wouldn't be positive. So there's your guys' graphing. Okay, here, quadratic formula, right? Remember the story? Negative boy could not decide whether to go to a rad party. The boy was square, which is why he missed out on 4 awesome chicks, and the party was all over at 2 a.m. So, one suggestion is you guys should write down your A is 1, your B is coefficients, right? -1, and your guys' C value is 4. Then you guys just plug this into the formula and find your guys' answer. So following the formula, negative, our B value, -1, plus and minus, -1 squared minus 4 times our A, which is 1, times our C, which is +4. All over 2 times A, which is 2 times 1. Negative of -1 is +1. -1 squared, you guys, is +1. -4 times 1 times 4, that's -16. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. So 1 plus or minus, 1 minus 16, you guys, is -15. All over 2. So, and remember, when you guys get a negative inside the square root, it becomes square root 15i all over 2. So our answer is going to be A. 15. Okay, so our A is 4, our B is -2, and our C is -5. So, plugging it into the formula, right? Negative of our B, which is -2, plus and minus square root -2 squared minus 4 times your guys' A, which is 4, times your guys' C, which is -5. So 2 times A, which is 2 times 4. So we're going to get 2 plus or minus 4. -4 times 4 times -5, you guys, that's +80 all over 8. So you have 2 plus or minus square root of 84 all over 80. Now we do have to simplify all over 8. That's square root of 84, you guys. So to do that, we have to make a prime factorization tree, right? 2 times 42. We could do 6 times 7, and then here 2 times 3. So there's a pairs of 2's, and then we have 2 leftovers of 3 and 7. So left pairs of 2's on the outside, square root 3 times 7, which is 2 square root 21. So this is really 2 square root 21, you guys. And then notice this 2, and this 8, you guys, you could divide top and bottom by 2. 1 plus and minus square root 21 all over 4, which is going to be choice D. So that's your guys' quadratic formulas unit. Okay, 16, you guys, we are actually going to skip out on 16. And 17 and 18. Okay. Alright, 19 and 20. So 19, you guys. So in order to solve for complex numbers with division, we have to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of this, which would be the same thing, but this is the sign that changes. So we gotta do our double distribution action. This one times that one, and this negative 3i times that 3i. The reason why you guys don't do a double distribution on the bottom is because when you multiply by the complex conjugate, the middle terms will cancel. So we got negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, negative 4 times 3i is negative 12i, negative 5i times 1 is negative 5i, and negative 5i times 3i, you guys, is negative 15i to the second power. 1 times 1, 1. Negative 3i times 3i, you guys, negative 9i to the second. Now, both of these I to the second, you guys, become negative 1. So negative 4 minus 17i, negative 15 times negative 1, the sign changes to be positive 15. Same thing on the bottom, negative 9 times negative 1, the sign changes to be 1 plus 9. Combine like terms, we get 11 minus 17i, you guys, all over 10, which is D. That one's D. Now for 20, so if you guys take a look at this, to remember this, you guys, remember you write I to the first all the way to I to the fourth, and it's the I1, negatives in the middle, and don't forget I to the 0 is 1. So to simplify these ones with I powers of whatever number, you guys, just divide the power by 4. And whatever the remainder is, that's going to be our new power of I. So 4 goes into 4 once. 4 cannot go into 1, you guys, so that's 0. So we do have a remainder of 1. So that remainder of 1, that's going to be our new power of I, and I to the first, you guys, is just I. So that's C. So whatever the power is, just divide it by 4, you guys, and then raise the I to the remainder of whatever that division is by 4. 21 to 23 are skipped. Alright, so long division. So when your divisor, you guys, which is this, doesn't have a coefficient of 1 or doesn't have a exponent of 1 either, so that means you have to divide this by long division. So 9k minus 3. Well, I'll go into 9k to the third minus 30k squared plus 18k plus 5. So what times 9k is 9k to the third? That would be k to the second. So then we distribute this to both of these. So we get 9k to the third, k to the second times negative 3k, you guys. Negative 3 is negative 3k to the second. Now we subtract this from there. Now remember, or take note, these will cancel because there will be opposites, but you guys look, minus a negative 3. So this negative 3 will eventually become positive 3. So negative 30 plus 3, you guys, negative 27k squared, and then drop down to 18k. And then you guys repeat the same process all over again. What times 9k is negative 27k squared? That would be negative 3k. Distribute this to both of these. So we're going to get negative 27k squared. Negative 3k times negative 3, you guys, is positive 9k. We're going to subtract this. These will cancel, you guys. 18 minus 9, you guys, that's going to be 9k. And then drop the 5. How many times does 9k go into 9k, you guys? Once. And then lastly, finally, distribute the 1 to both of these. 9k, 1 times negative 3, negative 3. And the last subtraction work, you guys, minus sign and a negative 3, that's going to be positive 3. These cancel, right? So we're going to get k squared minus 3k plus 1, and put the remainder over our divisor, you guys, which is 9k minus 3. And that's going to be C. That's going to be C. Now, if your guys' divisor is a coefficient of 1 and a power of 1, then you guys can do synthetic division. The only thing about synthetic division, you guys, make sure all of the powers are here. We are missing b to the second power, so we have to add a coefficient of 0 to there. So write the opposite of this number, and then write down all of these coefficients. 1, -8, 0, 2, and -14. 1 times 8 is 8, add 0, 0 times 8, 0, add 0, 0 times 8, 0, add 2, 2 times 8, 16, add 2. So remember, this degree, you guys, is always 1 less than what you were given. So this is going to be b to the third, b to the second, b, no b. So what are we left with? B to the third plus 2 plus the remainder over our divisor, you guys, which was b minus 8. So that's going to be b. That's going to be b. Okay, so name each polynomial by degree and number of terms. So for 26, you guys, it's a degree of 0, because I don't see any variables, and it's 1 term. So that's going to be called a constant monomial. For 27, this has a degree of 3, you guys, and there's 3 terms, so cubic trinomial. If it's degree of 1, that's what we call linear. If it's degree of 2, that's what we call quadratic. If it's 2 terms, that we call binomial, and 4 degree or 4 terms, you guys, or above, it's just 4th degree polynomial, or etc. Alright, so here's our M behaviors, you guys. So you need to memorize these. So positive even is up, up, negative even's down, down. Positive odd, left hand should be down, right hand should be up, and then negative odd, you guys, left hand should be up, and right side should be down. So you have to remember this to you guys to remember your guys' M behavior. So first of all, we know this is positive. That's positive, and the degree is even. So it's positive even, you guys. So we're looking for one that represents going up and up. Now notice the left hand side is going up and the right hand side is going up, right? So this x to negative infinity, guys, that represents left. And x approaches positivity, that represents right. So if we're looking for this and both of them are going up, then we just need to find the f of x's where both of them are positive infinity, because they're both going in the upwards direction. So remember, x goes to left to right, f of x goes up and down. So which f of x's goes up and up? That would be b. As you guys can see, the left hand side is going up, the right hand side is going up. Let's check this one. So clearly it's a negative in the front and it's an odd. So we're looking at negative odd, you guys. So that means the left arrow should be up and the right arrow should be down. So here, left arrow, this one represents left arrow is going up, right arrow is going down, which is what we wanted, right? So it would be this one. Left going up, right going down, which is what we wanted. So definitely going to have to take note of those M behaviors. Sketch the graph of each function. So for this one, you guys, first of all, it's positive. It's an odd, so positive odd, you guys, look like this. So let's eliminate the ones we can for right now. This one and this one do not represent this M behavior, guys. Now, one thing you guys could check is also the y-intercept. This y-intercept is close to -4, so it can't be that. And this one does represent a y-intercept, which should be D. And another thing you guys can do is check out the zeros, because then you guys could do synthetic division and test to see if that is a true 0. 31, 32, skip. Okay, so we have rational root theorem. Okay, guys, so if you guys recall, this is where you guys got to do your P over Q list. Find a possible 0 by doing synthetic division and then finding your guys' zeros. So I told you guys to remember this phrase, sorry, cutie pie. So that's to remember that the q is the first number and p is the last number. So you guys gotta find your factors of p over q. Factors of p plus and minus 1. Factors of q plus and minus 1 and 2. So when you guys do this list, 1 over 1 is plus and minus 1. 1 over 2, you guys, that's plus and minus 1 half. Okay, so we have this list of possible rational zeros. Now we have to figure out which one is a zero, or if none of them are. So this is where we gotta guess to see if we use this correctly. If we get a remainder of 0 by using synthetic division, then we know that answer that we picked, that number that we picked, is an answer. If not, then we have to try a new number. So for example, if you guys tried 1, right, and you guys did synthetic division and did the coefficients, right, you would realize 2 times 1 is 2, add 7, 7 times 1 is 7, add 11, 11 times 1, 11, add. You realize we would not get a 0, right? So the whole goal is to find a number from this list that will give us a remainder of 0 by using synthetic division. So 1, clearly not a choice, but let's try negative 1. If we did negative 1, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, add 3, 3 times negative 1, negative 3, add 1, 1 times negative 1, negative 1, add, we get 0. So this tells us, since we did get a remainder of 0, that this is an answer and it could be part of the factor. Now, to figure out these degrees, right, remember it's always 1 less than the one they gave us. So since that we started with x to the third, this is going to be x to the second, x, no x. So this should be something you guys are very comfortable in doing, is factoring this to find your remaining zeros. So this is going to be a is greater than 1 case. So you guys got to factor this by grouping. So group, we can factor out a 2x to get x plus 1, factor out only a 1 to get x plus 1. So we get 2x plus 1 times x plus 1. And now we solve, right? What value of x will make that 0? Negative 1. What value of x will make that 0? Negative 1 half. And again, if you guys cannot do that in your guys' head for that one, just set it, the whole thing equals to 0 to solve for x is equal to negative 1 half. So your guys' answers are the first 0 we found from synthetic, which was negative 1, and negative 1 half and negative 1. So our answer is going to be B. 1 half, negative 1 half, negative 1, multiplicity of 2, that means you have 2 answers that were negative 1, which was what we had. Okay, here, so remember, P over Q, find your factors of P, find your factors of Q, factors of P, which is just 1 times 1, factors of 5, you guys, 1 plus and minus 1 times 5. So 1 over 1 is plus or minus 1. 1 over 5, you guys, that's just 1/5. So these are possible rational zeros, so we could test the numbers to see which one will give us a possible rational zero. So I'm going to try negative 1 this time. So write down the coefficients of your polynomial, 5, 11, 7, and 1. 5 times negative 1, negative 5. Add, you guys get 6. 6 times negative 1, negative 6. Add, you get 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. Add, you guys get 0. So remember, this is 1 degree less than the x to the third, or 1 degree less than whatever our polynomial is, so x squared, x. And again, this is something you all should be able to know how to factor. A is greater than 1 case. X method, 5 times 6, 5 and 1. 5x squared plus 5x plus x plus 1 equals 0. You guys can group these. Factor out a 5x to get x plus 1. Factor out a 1 to get x plus 1. And then we get 5x plus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0. What values of x will make both of these zeros? This one, negative 1, this one, negative 1/5. And again, if you can't figure out that negative 1/5 in your head, then set the whole factor equals to 0 to find what our answer would be. So we got -1 is one of our answers, and another -1 and -1/5. So our answer is going to be A. Okay, so here you guys are doing function composition or function combination. So here we have add the two functions together. That's what h plus g of n is. Add the two functions together. So h of n is n squared plus minus n. G of n is 4n minus 5. Combine like terms, we get n squared plus 3n minus 5, which is C. 36. Okay, so this operation tells us that we multiply our two functions together. H of a is a plus 4, g of a is a to the third minus 4a squared. We do a nice double distribution. A times a to the fourth, a to the third is a to the fourth. A times minus 4a to the second minus 4a to the third. 4 times a to the third is 4a to the third, and 4 times negative 4a squared, you guys, is negative 16a squared. These cancel, so we get a to the fourth minus 16a squared, which is going to be C. 37. So for 37, you guys, this is function composition. So remember, this is h of g of t. We know our g of t, you guys, is negative 3t minus 4. So this tells us we have to plug in negative 3t minus 4 into the h function. So if we do that, we are going to get negative 3 times negative 3t minus 4 plus 2. Distribute, and we get 9t plus 12 plus 2, which is 9t plus 14, which is B. Okay, 38. Again, another function composition, but we are evaluating this time. So g of h of 6. So this tells you plug in 6 into g h first. So 2 times 6 plus 3, 12 plus 3, 15. So we know h of 6, you guys, is 15. Then when we get that, then plug in 15 into your guys' g function, which we will get 30 minus 3, which is positive 27, which is C. And the last two, you guys, are inverse functions. So again, you guys set this equals to y, switch the x and y variable with each other, and then you guys solve for y. Add 2 to both sides, you guys get x plus 2 equals the cube root of y plus 2. Now because this is raised to the cube root, well, it's taking the cube root. You raise both sides to the third degree, third power. Because that third power and that cube root, they will cancel. We just have x plus 2 to the third equals y plus 2, and then lastly, subtract 2 to both sides. Your guys' inverse function is x plus 2 to the third minus 2. It's going to be D. So again, set it equals to y, you guys. Switch the variables, and then solve for your new y, and that would be the inverse. So here, I don't like dealing with fractions, you guys, so I'm going to multiply everything by the denominator, which is 7. So you get 7x equals y plus 16. And then to solve for y, you guys, subtract 16 on both sides, and we get C. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Again, study hard, and good luck, everyone, okay? Peace.